Hello everyone and welcome back to another deck profile video. Unfortunately, today it is nowhere doing the deck profile, and I know my decks are kind of wonky, but it is what it is. I was hoping to do a little bit of a different video, was actually create this deck profile and have it almost like a user input. So if you guys have suggestions for this deck build, please comment below and let's build kind of like a community deck together. I had this deck built right after Strangers of New Valhalla, and I wanted to do it revolving around these two resonators. And as such, I said, you know what? Because so much time has passed, the deck hasn't been updated. With everything going on in the community right now, especially with Masterfeja and I actually preparing for the Montreal GP, I thought, what better time than to kind of go through the thought process of how I kind of put a deck together. And for those of you that are new, hopefully this helps a little bit. For those of you that are more experienced, again, comment below and throw suggestions my way on how to improve on this deck. Basically, the idea for this deck was revolve around Jeanne d'Arc. How can I keep her alive? How can I do as much damage with Jeanne d'Arc? How can I play around her abilities? What are her abilities? First of all, Jeanne d'Arc is a human, 2-cost darkness, 700, 500. This card gains swiftness, and this card cannot be destroyed as long as you control 3 or more resonators. If this card would deal damage to a Jade resonator, put a minus 100 counter on that Jade resonator. So the way it deals damage is minus counters, and that is why you want to keep her alive for as long as possible. The reason why we have the ray in here is for the inverse side of ray. Anytime on the inverse side, ray becomes 0. Entities you control gain whenever this card is targeted by a spell or ability. Cancel that spell or ability. Play this ability only once per turn. Keep in mind this will cancel your own cards as well. So this was basically the idea was, how can I play really well against, not against, but with Jeanne d'Arc in mind. With that in mind, initially one of my thought process was, let's go with protecting her, bringing her from the graveyard if need be. How can I bring her back from the graveyard? What can I do in order to keep her alive? In the darkness cards, we have March of the Dead. It's a 1-cost darkness. Put target resonator with total cost 2 or less from your graveyard into a field. If you awaken this card, you can put 2 resonators, total cost 2 or less. Chant, okay, fantastic. Takes off the mark of bringing Jeanne back, actually being able to bring Ray back as well. Okay, what's next? Next is, what else can I do? Is there in darkness to be able to keep stuff alive? The only thing in darkness that is able to keep stuff alive or potentially do it is, the only other card I can think of was Sword of the New Moon. It being a quick cast, choose one. Destroy target resonator with total cost 1 or less, or destroy target resonator with total cost 4 or less if this card was awakened. The awakening cost is removing a mystery counter from your Jade Ruler. So my idea was, okay, well, to keep her alive is maybe I can remove whatever is attacking her. However, this only works against resonators. If it's a chance that's removing her, it's not really going to do anything, which is why I want March of the Dead to be able to bring her back from the game. However, what happens if it is a straight out removal? And since Blade of Fate has just been introduced with the Strangers of New Valhalla, I threw 3 of these in as well, and you can kind of already see who the ruler is going to be, which is unfortunate as we've done too many videos on this on Brunhild. But I figured, why not have more removal? Because what happens if I I'm giving a little bit away, but I wanted to do like a light darkness deck, and I said, you know what happens if I draw light? Like, basically that's why Blade of Fate ended up being in here. So we have more removal. This removes target Jade resonator from the game. This removes it completely from the game. I have 4 of those. 3 of the 3 Swords of the Moon and 3 Marches of the Dead. More being able to keep the Jeanne d'Arc alive would be Protection of the Angels, quick cast. Target resonator gains 800, and barrier until the end of the turn. Players cannot chase to this card. The fact that it gains barrier and the fact that nobody can chase to it is something that I really like a lot. So we have 4 of these 4 Blades of Faith. So as it is right now, we kind of have more chance and everything than we have resonators. So with that in mind, I kind of had to go the other way and be like, okay, well, we kind of need to fill in the gap. Like, we have chance, we have low cost resonators, where are the high cost resonators? In all of my darkness decks, my finisher, because Jeanne d'Arc does consistent small damage, this kind of keeps, yes, you can swing with it, but you don't want to swing with it, especially with 0. You just want to have her on the field, being able to protect your characters, your resonators. So my finisher has always been Belial. So I threw in 2 Belials, and I wanted to throw in something big that would help with the idea of bringing back Jeanne d'Arc if she is ever killed. So I threw in 3 Milsteins. Enter, you may pay 1 light and 1 colorless less to play your next rune. Whenever you play a rune from a rune area, put target resonator with total cost 3 or less from your graveyard into the field. With that in mind, I needed to use very cheap runes. And whenever this card deals blocks or is blocked by a resonator, destroy that resonator. So essentially, this is a great card for removal. It also brings back any one of these resonators. So it has potential of bringing back 8. For more resonators, I threw in a cheap 1 cost Acolyte of the Sun. It produces light. I can use light in order to be able to play something like Protection of the Angels. And as such, because of the fact that you can tap it, I said, you know what, fantastic card. It is a 1 cost only. I threw 4 of those in. And for next, we have more 2 cost resonators. For 2 cost resonators, I like the way the art looks on this card. I wanted to give it a shot and play test it, and it actually surprisingly worked quite well. Ayu, the Mysterious Wanderer, 2 yellow, Were Rabbit, quick cast. Return this card to its owner's hand. Enter, you gain X life, where X is the number of runes revealed from your rune area. Again, this synergizes well with this, because you're going to be drawing runes, cheap runes, and the idea for this card is to be able to play a lot of cheap runes pretty early on. So it's a balance. With this one, it is a high balance between saving your runes to be able to play Milstein for like mid-game, or blowing them early in order to be able to gain the life effect. But early game, you shouldn't need to. This card is more of a mid to late game for the life gain. 3 IUs. And still having room left in this deck, I figured, you know what? Why not? Let's throw in some more cards. For a little bit more protection in the case of just more of a deterrence and a nuisance, we have Mephistopheles. It is a 3 cost, 2 yellow, 1 colorless. Whenever you do a judgment over a Jade Ruler, invert this card. Jade resonators your opponent controls and they'll enter the field rested. Again, protecting Jeanne, giving them a little bit of time. And on the inverse side, we have Jade resonators, your opponent controls gain -2, -2. Resonators entering the field in your opponent controls do not cause your own enter ability. Man, I cannot read this. I know what it does, I just can't do it. Resonator entering your field under your opponent's control don't cause their own abilities to trigger. Essentially, enter abilities such as Belial does not work. One of the reasons why I like this card in the deck. 3 of these, 3 costs. So we have, the idea is to kind of do like a pyramid, have a lot of low cost resonators and then slowly go down from there, which is why kind of 4 and then a lot of 2 cost, some 3 cost, some 5 cost, very little 6 cost. And the last one I want to throw in there, just because I really like the art and I still had room, was Astema, the Returnee of Hatred. Your opponent loses 500 health. If there are 3 or more runes revealed from your rune area, you gain 500 health. Synergizes well with just about everything in here, in my mind, because I'm going to be playing runes regardless. And I figured, why not? Because I'm playing runes, and the idea is for this, I'm going to be playing runes. For this, I want to be playing runes. Then Astema is going to work well with that. That was the idea behind it. Pay 400 life, draw a card, play this ability only during your turn and only once per turn. Pay 1000 life, your opponent loses 500 health, play this ability only during your turn and only once per turn. So we have 3 of those. For runes, we have this spell, counts destroy target addition or gain 1,000 health. Ruined Earth. Now, mind you guys, these aren't in any particular order. 2 darkness, 2 colorless, destroy target magic stone, resonates your opponent control, gain -4/-4 until the end of the turn. Blessing of the Sun, 1 light. J resonator you control, gain +2/+2, and at the end of the next turn, recover this card. Love it. Not even gonna explain it. Love it. Power of Immortality, 1 darkness. Target resonator gains +4/0. When this card is put into the graveyard from the field, put it into the field rested under its owner's control. Jeanne d'Arc goes to the field, play this. Sorry, if you know Jeanne d'Arc's gonna die, play that. She dies, comes back right back. And then we have, I forget, I can't even pronounce this one. Something summons. I can't even pronounce it. Correct me on this one, guys. Put target human with total cost 2 or less from your graveyard into the field, being able to pull Jeanne d'Arc back. In terms of stones, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 mystery counter darkness stones for Sword of the New Moon, 4 light stones, and 2 regular darkness. So we have 6 darkness for those. Now, kind of a quick, very quick overview of how I put this deck together. The idea was to work off of Raze and Jeanne d'Arc. If need be, if they die, how do I pull them back? Being able to pull them back, you know, we have this. The one thing I forgot to mention is we have Brunhild for being able to pull just about anything back. If Belial gets discarded, if something gets discarded, you can pull any resin out upon judgmenting and Brunhild entering the field. Whoops. So with that in mind, I was kind of like, you know what, that's the general idea. If you guys have suggestions on how to actually improve this deck, especially with the new set coming out, Awakening of the Ancients, please feel free to drop a comment below. For one, I know that Acolytes, I've already replaced them with Sapling of the Treasure Tree, simply because these produce more light. It's the same cost, but just simply produce more light. And also because you can play an additional light into it and you can banish an additional, which would kind of make this one kind of obsolete, I guess, but I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? Please leave comments below, and especially like how this deck can be improved. I want this deck to kind of be like a user input, kind of like a community deck. And as such, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. With that in mind, I will see you guys hopefully in Montreal, because Masterfeja and I are going to the Montreal GP. Yes, so if our videos may be a little bit sporadic for the next couple of weeks, that will be why, as we're actually taking some time, more of a, not just because we're flying out from Western Canada, we're actually going to be flying out to Montreal, and we're going to take some time to explore the city as well. So we're not just going for the GP. We're not just going for the GP. We want to be able to kind of explore as well the city and the culture and everything. But I hope to see you guys at the GP, and if you see, you know, a real, like a big giant 6'1" jolly person, that's Masterfeja, and if you see 6'1" person that's kind of a little bit chubby and has a beard, that's going to be Novum. So with that in mind, I will see you guys hopefully at the GP and in the next video. Peace out.